think we're live. I never know for sure until it shows up about 5 to 10 seconds into the live stream. There we go. Okay. Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday. It is January the 31st, 2020, 4 p.m. New York time. And wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And Linda, I'm happy to be back doing podcasts again. I mentioned to Alex yesterday that I loved the vacation Louise and I had. I absolutely, every single day was wonderful. Even the really cold day in St. Augustine, everything was great. But I missed doing the podcast. Every day I kept thinking to myself, oh, geez, I didn't get to do a podcast today. So,
well, you know what? It's a great addiction to have.
It is. It's a very good addiction to have. I mean, if you're going to have addiction, why not that one? But it just goes to show how much I'm really enjoying doing these shows after 7.5 years. So check with me 7.5 years from now after 15 years, and I'll give you a new reading perhaps. But right now, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And
how does it get any better than that?
It doesn't. I mean, this is fabulous.
It does. It can always get better. Everything can always get better.
Well, yes, it does get better. But on the other hand, when you do what you love, I mean, is there anything better than doing what you love?
Doing more of what you love.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
And and the vacation was wonderful. I've told our audience about some of the things that we did. We went to Universal to see the Harry Potter lands, which was wonderful. And we went to a chocolate museum where we saw some really astonishing pieces of work by the chocolatier. I mean, this woman was really, really good. She put together these statues that were like 3.5 feet tall out of chocolate. There was the trip to St. Augustine. I got to see my cousin Becky, which was great. Becky is somebody who I was never terribly close to when I was young because we're 7 years apart, but she was always a very positive person. She's a believer in the law of attraction. And this is my first opportunity to talk in depth with her. So that was great. I mean, it was just one really good thing after another. And I mean, it was hard to come back, to be perfectly honest. It was really hard to come back, especially to the colder weather.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was really, really great. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How have you been? What you been up to the last couple of weeks? Anything noteworthy or unusual or interesting?
I mean, actually, did you say the date when we came on? Because
Today's
I'm thinking, wow, the 31st this month has just flown by.
No kidding.
And that's an indicator about the year going to be flying by, you know? So I'd say keep asking questions about all those things you want to understand more about in your life, and you'll receive the answers quick.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, well, I believe that 2020, partly because of the number and partly because of where we are as a worldwide society, I think it truly is the year of clarity. So why wouldn't clarity include, getting faster results when you're putting out manifestation requests? I would think that it would add up that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, that's what's happening on the planet as the vibration is rising, where things are moving at a faster pace. And so we are able to manifest or actualize. Manifest is how it comes in. Actualizing is actually having it create in your space. Everything that's supposed to, it's said by many people who channel energies that we're moving into a time where we can create super fast. So we're kind of waking up more and more to our own abilities to be able to do that. And that's pretty exciting. And then to see that January is already gone.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that happened. It was so fast.
Well, I'm excited by the possibility, or even the probability, the likelihood that more and more stuff is going to happen quickly. To me, it also is an indicator we really need to be practicing being conscious creators now before it gets faster, just so we won't be thrown for a loop when it does get really fast. Because I mean, if let's say you're focusing your attention on, that terrible person next door who lives next door and is causing all kinds of troubles. All of a sudden, you got bang, 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 quick manifestations coming where, I don't know, they break into your house, or they're arguing with you every time you walk out the door. I mean, it's a good
You're
skill to
saying
have
that
to know.
because all you're doing is passing judgment, right? That's why you're saying that?
Well, passing judgment and focusing on what you don't like. I mean, we
Yeah,
focus as human beings. We spend, I think, 70 to 80% of our time focusing on what we don't like, and then we wonder
right.
why we get more of it.
And so,
So
you know what? This card I just pulled is perfect because rather than focusing on all those external things, we need to,
was
can
it
you read it?
nurture yourself first? Yes, absolutely. Very good. Yes,
Nurture
as
yourself
usual.
first. And that's coming up a lot lately, whether it's taking care of your physical body. And then actually maybe part of this message too, I don't know what the book is going to say about it, is
Mhm.
really getting in, because we are spirit, right?
Right.
We're this infinite energy that is housed some part of us within this physical body.
Absolutely.
So you need to work with your body. Realize that your body isn't you. You are you. You're the consciousness that you are, and you have this body. So you need to be able to really get in communication with it because your body can help you with anything.
It's a great
Your
point.
body, number one, is a way that you can understand when you're tapping into your intuition because you can feel it and sense it in some way. The body allows you to do that, right? The body allows everything for you to have your consciousness be here on this planet.
Right.
So a lot of times we don't really acknowledge it for what it is or even communicate with it. So it's a good idea to, talk to your body more.
Hmm.
Like I was eating some milk duds before.
Okay.
So some people might say, they're not really good to eat, right? But I'm like, well, body, would you like to have some milk duds? And then you see if you feel lighter. Either you'll know it's a yes or a no. And if you're not sure if what's a yes or a no, yes is always makes you feel lighter, but no will make you
Mm.
feel heavier, right? So my body wanted it. So instead of having guilt over eating it, I'm like, yeah, my body wants this. I'm going to give my body what it wants. I mean, you can go to a restaurant and have the menu, and instead of being confused in your head about what you want to have, just ask your body, what would you like to have? And then you'll find you're drawn to an area or a specific dish immediately, or an area where you look at those and then out of those exactly what you want because you're communicating with your body. You're allowing it because it's always wanting to communicate with us, but we don't always pay attention to it. And when we pay attention to it, when we have pain,
Hmm.
right? Because your body's been talking to you and trying to get through to you about whatever issues it might be, and you're not acknowledging that this body, you can communicate with it. So you ignore it. And then what does it have to do? It has to get louder in some way. How does it get louder?
Mm.
It creates pain, discomfort, dis-ease in your body so that you're like, you have to pay attention now. Oh, I've got this headache. Why do I keep getting this headache? Maybe I should slow down or whatever it is.
It's a great point you're making, and for me, it's particularly poignant now because when you're on vacation, you do go to a lot of restaurants. I mean, that's part of what you do. And I had a number of occasions where I would sit down, I look at the menu, and I'm evaluating it in terms of what sounds good to me, what sounds good, and nothing was really coming to me. But like you said, and I didn't think about it at the time, I found myself being drawn to certain sections of the menu, and probably 90% of the time I ended up ordering there, but I didn't draw the connection until you just said so.
Yeah, because your body is giving you the input.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that.
when we become more conscious of it, imagine how much more we can communicate.
Yeah. No
So
kidding.
I've been doing that. And actually, I'm asking my body to demanifest and demolecularize the excess fat on my body.
There you go. Good
Right.
stuff.
So I'm like, okay, if I can communicate with my body more, then we can work together on this instead of, because people say uh, they want to first of all lose weight. You don't really want to lose weight because you're always going to find it again. Think about it. The
It's
things you
true.
say to yourself.
Yeah. You're
So,
focusing on the wrong end of the stick.
and how much do you beat your, like I could have beaten myself up for eating the milk duds.
Sure.
But rather than doing that, I'm like, no, you know what? My body really wants it. So I'm going to
Hmm.
give it what it wants.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I think
And
that makes sense.
I've been doing more and more of that. And I'm finding, it's like sometimes I might think I want to eat because whatever's going on, it's still a comforting thing, right? Overeating. And I'm like, well, hold on. Does my body want this? And I feel like, no, my body doesn't want that. But had I not checked in with it, I would have ate it. So now I'm
Well,
giving it up to my body. I'm like, okay, body, what do you want? And then I'm not going to feel guilty. If my body wants some ice cream, I'm going to have it because my body said it wants it. But you got to feel what that is. Is it
Hmm.
just you wanting to trick yourself into eating it or finding an excuse for it? No, but that wouldn't feel good, right? Because then you wind up eating it and you'd be regretting it afterwards. Like, instead of being, oh, that was great. I'm so happy I had that. It's two different energies.
Well, it's an interesting question that I have in my mind about this. Is it the body that we're listening to, or is it what they call the inner being that I'm listening to at that case?
No, right now I'm talking about listening to the actual physical cells of your body,
Okay.
that vehicle that allows you to be here. Now, your consciousness could have its own opinion too, but it's like if your car's running out of gas, it needs gas to operate, right? It needs some kind of fuel. Now, I know my car runs better on the higher grade of fuel.
That's true.
It does. There's a difference, right? So
Well,
our bodies run better with certain foods, and it's different for everybody. It doesn't have to fit into what the so-called gurus of bodies and weight and all that stuff have to say. Because
that's
although
true.
that might be true for them, and those people had all this success that way, that was true for their body. But if you leave out the element of listen to your body, I think a lot of people do talk about that now. I'm hoping they do. And trust in what your body wants. It makes it a much more enjoyable journey if it is weight loss that you're going through. Maybe you want to put on weight. Maybe you want to bulk up more. Maybe you want to, whatever it might be.
Hmm. Well,
Maybe it's just emotional stress, and it's because you're just pushing yourself too hard and your body's not getting a chance to rest, so you just got to listen to it.
it ties in once again to what happened on our vacation because my we stayed with my brother and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was one of the reasons we went down because she just got her PhD in statistics. So she's now a doctor. And prior to getting that, she had actually been pursuing a PhD in the neurosciences, neurophysics, neurobiology. And then the last minute, she found statistics was more to her liking. So she went that way and got her PhD. But she still had done a lot of research and a lot of work there and had shared some of it as she was one of my first co-hosts on the show. So she had shared quite a bit of it in many of the earliest episodes of this podcast. And one of the things that we talked about while we were visiting was just what was going on with Louise and I in terms of, how we were feeling, what was going on day to day. And Louise was remarking that she was doing a lot more napping than she would normally have thought that she'd be doing and wasn't always feeling high energy. So my sister-in-law, kept talking about, well, that's probably your carbs are too high. You got to get the carbs down, get the fat and protein up, and burn off some carbs and so forth, and you'll feel better. And it turned into a long conversation that ultimately led to us making changes based on what science tells us. But we also realized because of the way Louise is, we often say it kind of smirkingly, well, she's very picky, but actually, I think what she is she's somebody who does exactly what you're talking about. She's somebody
Hmm.
who listens to what her body's asking. And she very much prefers real foods to fake foods, snacky foods, and all that kind of thing. If she's going to make a change in a dietary manner, she wants to change to real food. I mean, you can find stuff out there, like for instance, with the Atkins or the keto diets or whatever. You can find these, food bars and so forth. And we tried some of them just to see if any of them were any good. And to be perfectly honest, we didn't like any of them. I mean, they just didn't taste like food. They tasted like something that was kind of put together by somebody who was trying to make something that was good for you. My reaction on most of them is that they tasted like chewing gum. Like you're constantly chewing, or working your jaw trying to work through these bars. And I'm thinking, shouldn't these actually taste like food? And that's exactly what Louise thinks too. So she and her girlfriend here in Connecticut have decided since she got back that they're actually going to do a sort of a food testing and preparation project. They're going to start inventing their own snacks because her friend also wants to take off a few pounds. So between the two of them, they're actually going to try to make some real food stuff that is good for you.
Great. And so maybe they're also answering a demand of so many other people out there.
You never know how that's going to turn out.
And maybe they're going to love doing it. If they love doing it, that energy behind it will have it expand into whatever it needs to be. So,
Yeah.
a good thing to do, and I started doing this with both of my businesses, and I wanted to talk about this too, is pulling energy. So you want to pull energy from all of those people that you can help. in
Mm.
whatever way it is. So if it's through my
Hmm.
karate school in that manner, through my healing work in those manners, through this real food for people's bodies, like you want to pull energy from all of if you send energy out to all of those people who can benefit from the work that you're doing, and then pull their energy so that you bring them towards you. So it's like pulling energy from, if you're ever in a crowd or you're watching a performer up on stage, the energy is so high because they're actually pulling energy from all of those people, and it's creating this big bubble of energy that everybody's enjoying.
Well, doesn't that
But
happen naturally though? I mean, if you are in a good space and you're really focused on what you like, don't you kind of naturally pull that energy?
uh, yeah, but do you do it all the time?
Well,
Not
yeah,
not
you're right.
necessarily.
We need to
Now,
work on that for sure.
yeah. Now, most performers, or when you're maybe on in the spotlight, maybe it's easier because you just expect that. It just maybe can tap into your own natural ability to do it. But
Mm.
what if you were to do it at other times to set up that stage for when you actually give that performance or offer that service or draw people into the podcast, right? So what
Yes.
if right now you and I just pull energy from all the people all over the globe who can benefit from listening to the podcast, and we're just going to call them in.
So if I want to draw energy deliberately, because you're talking about a conscious drawing
Yeah,
here.
we're
So
just right now. We're just
so what do you
asking
do?
for it.
You just ask.
The universe does it. You just
Hmm.
ask.
Okay.
You could imagine it if you want to, if it makes you feel better. Like I feel like when I imagine it, I feel like it's coming at me from different directions. I can't describe that, but I kind of have this sense, whether it's streams or beams or lines of connection.
Well, you're
I'm not
imagining it.
exactly.
I mean, you're creating it with your imagination. So of course,
Yeah,
it's going to
but
feel the way
so
you're thinking
you
it's
could
feeling.
have a visual sense of it or an energetic sense of it, or you can just ask. You're just letting the universe know, okay, let's
Hmm.
pull energy from everyone who I can benefit, who can benefit from the work that I do,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. And I
Yeah.
talked to you again about asking lots of questions. So I'm getting this thing in my throat. So I think there's like spirit around wanting to give their
Well, we better
voice
bring them
into
in then.
this.
I mean, not
We'll
only is it
see
good
what.
to listen to your body, it's also good to listen to the inner being. Inner being is saying knock,
Yeah,
knock, knock.
yeah. So let's read this card, Nurture Yourself.
All right.
Um, yeah. All right, let me get the eyes on because I think I need them. All right, so it says it's time to stop. Oh, interesting. And this is funny because I had a client today who this probably directly would hit. Anyway, it's everybody goes through this to some degree, not really nurturing yourself. So
Mm.
it says it's time to stop over giving to others, whether they're family, friends, or even coworkers. Turn your attention inward and give yourself what you need at this time. If you don't, you may become overdrawn, overworked, overextended, all signs that you have fallen out of balance and need more nurturing and self-care. Check in with yourself. Are you being insensitive or unresponsive to your own personal needs, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual? Are you overly concerned with the demands of everyone else around you?
Mm.
Right? So your divine energy is calling you to bring your life into balance by becoming more sensitive and responsive to your needs. Take time to make space for yourself without guilt or defensiveness. Sometimes people get defensive because they feel like it's kind of wrong, right, to give themselves the
Oh,
attention.
yeah. Sure.
If you don't respond to your own needs first, you won't truly have energetic fuel to love or assist anyone else. I mean,
That's true.
can't say it any easier than that. So it says, don't believe that it's better to give than to receive, and recognize that only when giving and receiving are in balance does life flourish for all. Self-care is the only way to advance your life at this time.
I'm not
Yeah.
even sure about the at this time. I mean, I don't think you can ever advance your life unless you're in some way focused on your own self-interest. Not that that means you have to be indifferent or callous toward others, because you don't have to be that in order to be taking care of yourself. But I mean, it's kind of like the rule that they talk about when you're on the airplane. You get on the plane, and the flight attendant gets to the front of the plane and shows you either a video about this or actually demonstrates for you. Here's how you do your seatbelt, and in the event of an emergency, oxygen masks will descend from the bulkhead, and you're to put the mask on your own face first before you put one on your child. The reasoning being, you can't put one on your child and then go unconscious. It doesn't actually work well that way. You have to take care of yourself first.
Right.
So it's kind of like a metaphor for what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
No, it's a great example. But how often do you forget that?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just opening up your awareness and your consciousness to realize when you're not, taking care of yourself or putting yourself first, because the more you can do that, the more you can be to other people.
Another way to say the same thing is you can't give something to somebody else unless you have something to give them.
Yeah, that's true too.
You
So if you're so
can't give them
depleted,
anything.
yeah,
Exactly.
you're just not as effective.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's a good card. I like that card.
Very good. And it as usual, hit it right on the
Yeah.
button, starting
And
right
I
out
think
of the
that
gate.
energy is in the air, because I did work with someone today a lot with just that, not being able to receive. And that, I mean, that's a big thing for everybody. And maybe it's only in one area of your life. Maybe you can receive this and that and the other thing, like love from your family, or you can receive help and favors from those around you, but you cannot receive money. You can get it, but it has to go right back out, because you can't hold on to it, because you're not allowed to have it. It's all receiving, that it's. Yeah.
I found myself yesterday dealing with an issue. I touched on it a little bit during the podcast, and I won't go into the details of it, partly because I just don't want to go too much down the negative trail, and partly because I'm trying to take my attention away from the negative trail. But it was a day where I was really challenged, particularly by the end of the day, to climb out of a really bad feeling place, And it was a reminder that when you get deep enough into a bad feeling place, climbing out can feel like it's a very far distance away, really, really hard. And Louise was helping me work through it. And even as she was hitting the right points. Okay, so what's going well in your life? What's good right now? What are the things that you can pivot to? She was like hitting all those different things like that. And I was amazed how resistant I was. I mean, with her help, I got out, but
Yeah.
it was just a reminder, when you're that far away, it can be pretty tough to climb out. So tying it into what we were talking about, clearly, if you're in a bad place, that's really not a time when you're listening well to your inner being. You're not really listening well to your body. You're really not listening to much of anything except for that crazy analytical mind that got you there in the first place. How do you climb out at that point?
Well, really, you have to make a choice to do it.
Yeah,
because we have the ability to shift that at any time. And there are times when you kind of just don't feel like it, because where you are is familiar. I mean, that's why we repeat a lot of the same patterns, because we know it. We don't really know what that other space is to the level that we want to go to it, possibly. And so it's easier to stay where it's comfortable.
It is easy.
Now, logically, you're like, well, that's stupid.
Well, yes. But logic is what got me there in the first place. So I'm not as likely to listen to logic at that point.
Yeah, but really, you just have to remind yourself, because I know this stuff. I work with this all the time. But there are times. I mean, there's times I'm just in a funky energy. And the two things I'll do. Well, first I'll start off with, well, who does this belong to? Because a lot of times I'm just absorbing it from somewhere else. Who does this belong to? And you might right away feel like, oh, it's not even mine. Okay, I'm going to send it back with consciousness to wherever it came from. But sometimes it doesn't go that quickly or that easily. I mean, I tell you, sometimes it could be like this. And other times it isn't. So you just keep asking, who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? Or on any feeling in your body, you can even say, interest, it's a access consciousness thing. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Because you're feeling this emotion, whatever it is. So you're like, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. And just by saying that a few times, you'll notice it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, where a lot of times you just kind of start giggling at yourself. It's like, what the heck? What was I upset about? And it just goes away. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
So I've been playing with it, and there are times where I can snap out quickly. There are times where I need to hit it a few times. There are times where I might be quite stubborn. And be like, oh, screw it. Everything's bullshit anyway. Whatever. But then, my consciousness comes in and says, really, Linda?
Yeah, right.
Is that your truth? And it's like, no. Okay, what feels better? It feels better to choose to get out of this. Okay, so let's do that.
Which is pretty much what we did last night. Because, I mean, if I had asked that question, I didn't ask the question exactly the way you did, but if I had asked that question, I would have been very clear. No, I didn't get this from somebody else. This is me. I know I did this one. And to kind of add to it, I had been doing
Yeah,
it for
but
quite some
who,
time.
but let me ask you this. Whatever it was that you did, um, what are you reacting to? The judgment that was been placed on that by people outside of you.
Actually, I was just
Okay.
reacting to the judgment I placed on it by myself. In other words, this was a case of me being really, really hard on me.
Okay. But where does that originate from?
Well,
If you were truly you right there without anybody's influence, you would not be so hard on yourself.
in
So
my inner being truth, yeah, right.
you learn to be hard on yourself because of other judgments that have been placed on you. You might have been 2 years old when
Yeah.
something similar energetically to that, and you were made to feel like, that was wrong. So then you have this floating around in your awareness. So now you're judging yourself for allowing yourself to do whatever or to be however.
That's true.
Right.
And that was part of it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, it 90, it's like 99% of all the stuff you judge yourself or hold yourself to, truthfully, really isn't even yours. It's just something you picked up, a program or a pattern you picked up along the way that's dictating how things have to be. But what if you were just open to the unlimited possibilities of how things could be, and that your way, what if you weren't wrong for the way that you approach something? So what
Yeah.
if you flipped your point of view to, okay, so what was right about this that I'm not perceiving? Instead of judging myself, what could I learn and move on from this experience without the judgment? I mean, once you remove the judgment, the energy softens.
Which is what happened, because I mean, we tried all these different things. What ultimately made the difference for me last night was literally saying to myself, "I forgive myself," and saying that a few times, and just
Yeah.
and as I was saying it, I could feel that stress deflating. That
Yeah.
whole that stress body
Yeah.
just kind of started to melt away.
Yeah. Or you're like, okay, so you messed up a little bit. What can we take from this? How can we move on? What can be? And you don't have to know the answers. You just ask the universe, what could I do differently so that this doesn't occur again? Or how can I move forward to blah, 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 without having to suffer, whatever it might be, right?
Right. Yeah. That's certainly what we
Okay.
want. By the way,
So-
Jeffrey also shared something on this. Or no, I'm sorry, it was Jenny who shared this. Jenny says, being resistant to shifting reminds me of the Peanuts cartoon where Lucy resists Charlie Brown's suggestions. And then she finally yells, I don't want to feel better.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
But,
all right. So I picked man holding a coin, but upside down.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why. Let's see.
We will find out.
We will find out. So it's all about, it's about male connection to money, health, or value. Okay. So it says this card reverse reveals that you could be acting against your own best interests where money and health matters are concerned. You might be spending a bit too much or simply not being conscious enough about what's really important. If that's the case, become more aware of your choices and priorities and bring more discipline to your life. This card reversed could also be a warning of self-absorbed or dismissive man who may be out for his own advancement, even at the cost of your own. So this could be applying to somebody somewhere. Be conscious of the critical or demanding men around you, and always remember that you alone determine who has the real power in your life. Yeah.
And I'm sure there are other people who that card applied to, but that is directly applicable to what I went through last night.
Okay.
Because it was a money related issue. It was an issue where I was beating myself up for having made a wrong decision about 8 months ago that impacted us now for the first time. And so I was doing the thing about, how could I have done that thing then, and not letting go of it. Yeah.
So you know what? After the show, think about what was right about the whole situation.
Well, I don't have to wait for that, because once I finally was able to release that stress last night, that actually came through pretty quickly. I was able to get there very, very quickly. So It was, you're right. That was a big piece of it. So for me, the transition started though with just simply forgiving myself for having made that mistake 8 months ago. I mean, it was a single mistake. It was an expensive one, but it was a single mistake I made 8 months ago. Okay, well, I forgive myself for that,
Yeah. And so also forgiveness, amazing. And then just ask the question, okay, so what is about this that I'm not seeing that's actually for my higher good, for or has a good purpose here? What, what's good
Hmm.
about this that I just can't have not seen?
Hmm.
And if you don't have to know the answer, you just ask the question, let it go. It'll probably pop in. But the thing is, you don't want to be thinking about what is good there. You just want to allow it to allow the universe to show you. So maybe 2 days from now, something happens. You're like, oh, it's a good thing I did that thing 8 months ago.
Yeah, sure.
It
That
could
could
happen.
definitely happen. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Um,
in fact, what I already do know, and actually it was 9 months ago, almost 10 months ago, what I do know about it is, even as I look back on it, I really can't say it was a wrong decision. It was the best decision I could make at the time. I just made it without full knowledge of the consequences.
all right.
And then the consequences came along and said, "Well, I don't like that." You know?
Yeah. All right. So then you just ask universe, okay, how can we turn this around to my favor?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't have to know the answers. I'm actually loving this, and I'm finding that definitely energy is softening around the issue that I was struggling with,
Uh-huh.
just by asking a whole lot of questions and
Mm,
not having to figure it out.
mm.
And so by not having to figure it out, things are just kind of shifting and making more sense, or some clarity will drop in. Some idea just pops up out of nowhere, and I love when that happens. I love when it's out of nowhere.
It's
Let's
great
do a
too.
numerology card.
Okay,
I feel
sure. It's
I
it's
feel
great
like
too
it.
when you're drawing when you're drawing that information the way you are and connecting it the way you do, and are able to do it from starting from a place of not feeling great. That's a good skill to have developed, because it's not easy to ask those questions when you're in the bad feeling place, and yet you found a way to do that. That's really quite
Well,
admirable.
actually, I found a way by somebody saying that you can do that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, that helps.
oh, that's so easy. I never thought, and I always get from my guides, there's no right way, find your own way and keep it simple.
Yeah.
And so I hear something like that. I'm like, oh my God, how much more simpler can you get from that? That's awesome.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. That's really, really good. It's one to remember for sure. So, what's
Yeah.
the numerology card got for us? Or are you doing the
Did
shuffling?
I pick one of these? No, the last show was with
No, that was with
Harold.
yeah, Chief
Yeah,
Harold.
that
That
was
was
fun.
yeah, that was a good show. We enjoyed that one.
But I pulled this, I don't know, maybe it was working with the client or something. I pulled this deck out recently. I hadn't used it in so long.
Hmm.
So today it felt like it wanted to come out. So I'm going
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
All right. So we're getting, oh, look at that. Number 96, forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Yeah. All right. So the
Right.
theme
So
continues.
we've been talking about it. Let's see what
That's right.
this deck has to say about it. Okay. All right. So it says that this card indicates a need to forgive yourself and others for any past actions that may have caused you pain. By drawing this card, you're being encouraged to heal any unresolved anger, hate, jealousy, resentment, or guilt that is blocking your success. Such emotions are toxic to your body and hold you back from attracting a harmonious life. For the sake of your health and for future happiness, you must forgive the past. Forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean blessing, forgetting, or condoning the unsavory behavior of others. It means releasing yourself from a self created prison so that you can move forward with your life.
Mm.
When you come to accept and move on from real or perceived betrayals, you create a happier future built on freedom and inner peace. Bitterness only attracts disharmony, misery, and pain. Thus, forgiveness is the best way to set your spirit free. In order to improve your current situation, you're being asked to adjust to and harmonize with the natural rhythms and cycles of your life, cycles that are encouraging you to forgive people, situations, and behaviors from the past. By reliving the past misfortune, you run the risk of attracting more of the same.
Yes.
But when you forgive and let go and move on, you can make your dreams come true. You improve your prospects of the future when you practice acceptance and forgiveness. Ah,
Well, we read that third to last sentence about attracting more of the same, because that one, I don't remember
okay.
exactly how I read it, but read that one
Yep.
again.
Hold on one second. Where'd it go? Jeez. Here it is. Oh, I'm actually on the page. I didn't realize it. Okay. So it says, by reliving past misfortunes, you run the risk of attracting more of the same. But when you
That's what it
forgive
was.
and let go and move on, you can make your dreams come true.
And that's exactly what I was feeling last night, because even as I was feeling miserable and asking Louise for help to climb out of it and so forth. We were both saying, I can't stay here because I'm just going to attract more of it. And that's exactly what the card's saying there.
Yeah.
That was my top concern. And ultimately
Now,
I was pretty glad when I got to the forgiveness part, because first of all, the stress went away and allowed me to go to sleep. I wasn't even able to go to sleep up until that point. But it also it stopped that negative vulture, not vulture, vulture. Well, it kind of is a vulture. It started to stop that negative vortex, that negative spiral that just keeps going down, 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 and down, and stopped it pretty quickly. So I was pretty
yeah,
grateful for that, because that I knew how big that was.
yeah, and even just asking, how can I change this? This doesn't feel good. What can I do to change this? And letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then your cat comes up and rubs its face on you, and you're like, oh, and then everything goes away.
This is true. This is
Because
true. And
our
I've always
animals are our healers. They're in
Mhm.
our space healing.
It's interesting that you should mention that, because since we got back, one cat in particular literally follows me everywhere I go around the house.
Oh
I
yeah,
come in here to the office, she'll follow me into the office. This is actually the male cat that's with me now. But she'll follow me into the office. I'll go into the bedroom. She'll follow me into the bedroom. I'll go to the living room. She follows me to the living room. I go to the kitchen. She follows. I mean, literally following me everywhere that I go. And I think it is at least in part because I was dealing with some of this stuff. It was kind of building up until yesterday after we
yeah.
got back. So
All right,
yeah,
cool. Well,
this is
that feeling in
important.
my throat has gone away,
Ah,
and now I mean, is there any chance that any of that is related some way to your mother or her passing or anything connected with that? Because I kind
I
of felt
can't
like,
rule it out.
okay, I kind of felt like when my throat was doing that, that the energy that was coming around was someone for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's
So,
possible. It's
and I kind of
possible.
felt like it could have had something to do with your mom, but I don't know what, and maybe she just wanted me to let you know she's happy you had a
It,
nice, enjoyable vacation. Um,
it may be just as simple as a greeting. That's possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm having to feel my way with how to interpret those energies when they come to me.
Oh, Jeffrey has a
Okay.
question for you, Linda. He
Yeah.
says, can Linda research what 54 is for me? It's a number that keeps popping up in my life. Do you know of any particular references to 54 that would be
Uh,
useful?
no, not offhand. You can search it online, and there's a great website, the Sacred Scribes. I forget the URL is longer than that, I think, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely Sacred Scribes. If you Google that, you'll probably find it, Jeffrey. That's like my go-to to get some in-depth numerology
Mm,
understanding. But let me
right.
see if this book has, what was it, 54?
54, yeah.
Let me see if there's a 54 in here. Because not every number's in here. There's a 55. No 54. No 54 here. But I'm sure you can find your answer by checking it out. And Sacred Scribes, I just happen to like that one.
Yeah, there are a lot of good resources for people who like the numerology online. So definitely good places to go.
Yeah. And the 5 and the 4 is a 9. That could be part of the message too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you figure it out, Jeffrey, if you find a source that gives us the answer, come back and tell us what you found out. Share
Yeah.
the story.
I'm hooked in through Zoom with my iPad right now, so I can't really surf the net at the same time. My laptop, I could have been doing that at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's why I have the second one, and everybody will be glad to know that the second laptop is now up and running again. So that's why I can check and see what's happening with the live stream.
Oh, cool.
But,
Well, let's pick one from this vibrational energy deck. And what are we going to get?
okay.
Perfect Storm.
Was that an eagle? I think. I can't quite tell.
No, I don't think it's it may be like a big crow or some kind of blackbird.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's one of those vultures. No, but the vultures have, well, actually, turkey vultures. So vultures have more of a
Well, the turkey vulture has a head like a
color,
turkey, so yeah.
different colored head and skinny
Right.
and ooh, they're ugly.
Yeah.
Beautiful creatures. Okay. Perfect Storm. See, that's a judgment right there on that beautiful creature, right? That lives here on this earth and has, its own part to play.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. MNOPQ. Here it is. Perfect Storm. Oh, this deck is the one that has the little tiny paragraph. I like the short explanations. Let's see what it said.
Okay.
The fact that it is perfect would indicate that the timing is exactly as it should be in your life. After any storm, the Earth's vibration seems clearer and more focused, thus making it easier to make the decisions surrounding the situation. This could be directly for you here.
Mm.
The timing for this card is perfect for when you're about to face and for what you are about to face and conquer. So, what if there is something really right about that decision that you were beating yourself up about? And maybe you're going to see how that falls into place in the perfect way.
That's quite possible. I mean, I can't totally make the connections right now, but I can say there's something that I am working on in addition to that other situation that I just started experimenting with in the last couple of days, kind of related to the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've been reading the book that I chose to read going down and coming back on the plane was his book "You Are the Placebo," because I had never read the whole thing cover to cover, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and I was curious because that book was where he really went into extensive detail about all of what is known scientifically that contributes to our or his understanding anyway of the role of meditation and subliminal messaging yourself and taking advantage of trying to get into a theta wave state so you can be suggestible to your own desires and likes and preferences and all that kind of thing. And I had looked at the back of the book where he has his particular meditation that he's actually written out for you. You can also get it on a CD or a download. And I was reading it and I was realizing that while he obviously has had some great success with it because he's had some fabulous success stories to tell, for me, I'm reading it and I'm saying, God, this thing is just chock full of scientific terminology. I really like something that's a lot plainer than that. So I found myself writing my own meditation script.
Oh,
and
nice.
and basically using stuff that you have shown me with the meditations you led us through, that Cindy Chavez has shown me, that others have shown me, and creating my own deal. I kind of did the relaxation portion based on the limited knowledge I have now about chakras, and kind of worked my way down the body to relax using the chakras as references. And then I basically got myself. My intention was to get myself down into that theta brainwave, so that the meditation, the guided meditation, would be reading to me in my own mind the things that I'm working on. Well, interesting thing happened. I made my recording and got all the glitches out of it and so forth. And then I did a playback. It's about 25 minutes long. And I got through the portion where I went through the chakra thing. And then I got to the next portion is where I go through the human body and I basically do healing everything in the body next. And from that point on, I lost consciousness.
Ah.
Until the very end, when I did a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wake up. And I got to 2 and I woke up. And I said to myself, well, I'm doing something right. Because I got
Did you record it for yourself? Or?
I recorded it. Yeah. And I was playing it on headphones and got this experience out of it. Yeah. So I found a couple things to fixed them, went and played it again and had exactly the same experience. And I'm thinking, I'm going to try doing this for like a week or two. I'm going to keep playing the same recording, make some modifications here or there, and see what happens if I'm just constantly feeding all of my best affirmations, for lack of a better term, or vignettes into my own subconscious mind every day.
Yeah.
And now,
did you get any brain entrainment music to put with it? Because you can get things in the theta brainwave.
I thought about that, but for the moment, I'm just sticking with the voice only. I want it to have just a quiet background and see how that works first.
Has Louise listened to it?
No, she hasn't listened to it yet. She will eventually, but she hasn't listened to it yet. Probably because I'm still tweaking it.
I make recordings of all sorts of things that I want, and I'll run them on a loop when I go to sleep.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm planning to play this one as I'm going to sleep and as I'm waking up. So basically, train my mind both ways to get into the good going to school thing at night and going to getting the day off to the right start in the morning. Accept love, your card says.
Accept love. Yeah. So let's see what this one's about. It could just be the nice icing on the cake here for today.
Okay. Sounds good.
I did have another deck. I don't know what time it is. Let me see. Oh, 444. Hey, good number. Good number. Angel number. Okay. So where are we? This card is 39. Yeah. So whenever you're not judging yourself, when you can come away from that and look at what's good here instead of beating yourself up, then you can open yourself up to receive love, self-love, love from yourself, and love from anywhere else in the universe.
Mm.
Because when when that judgment is piling on, it's hard to allow to receive all that love
Right.
that wants to come through. Oh, definitely need glasses for this book. Okay, let's see.
Small
Number
type.
39. Accept love. So, as a divine child of the universe, your creator fully loves your Holy Spirit. Moreover, your spirit is pleasing to God and to those around you. Your ego doubts this truth. It whispers into your ear that you aren't good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, or accomplished enough to be genuinely loved. This is a lie which you must fight. You're invited. Your infinite light is the learning. Sorry, let me start again. Your infinite light in the learning curve of the human experience. Your creator knows that your creator only knows you to be beautiful. Divine infinite light loves you without condition. Only your ego leads you to believe otherwise. Summon your light and cast it upon the shadows of your fears. There's no need to seek love, for it's present for you now. It's always there. Are you letting it in? It's about receiving again, right? There's only a need for you to relax your fears and accept the love that your creator and life has for you at this moment. So ask yourself, where am I not feeling love? Where am I rejecting it? What is my ego saying that would make me feel so inadequate? What shadows are dimming the light of love coming towards me? Ask your spirit. So those are all good questions to ask, right? You don't have to try and figure it out. You're just asking these questions. Ask your spirit to shed its brilliant illumination onto these dark and fearful thoughts. Breathe in and accept the light and love that your creator has for you. Let it chase the shadows of self-doubt and judgment away. It's funny. I pulled this out today.
You are enough.
You are enough. Yep.
In a heart shape, no less.
I have it on my hand. This will be upside down here, but it says, I am enough.
Okay.
I am enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great reminder. It's a way of
That's why it's on my hand. Oh, I'm enough.
It's a proactive way of doing what I was trying to do last night, but doing it ahead of time. Cutting myself some slack. Just by saying you are enough, you're basically saying you don't have to get it perfect. There's no such thing as perfect anyway. Right. So let go on that one.
Right. Yeah. I think well, it's hard to say. I was gonna say little kids usually they're like, oh, okay, no big deal.
Oh yeah.
I'll just build it again or whatever, right? Now some kids are very extremely hard on themselves. I think they probably either learned it at a very young, like from in the womb, from whatever influences are around them, or they just carried it forward. But most of the time, kids just, that doesn't even faze them. It's like, they know their love. They just keep going.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a tremendous resilience in kids. And you're right, they can learn it, and they'll learn it from parents, and they'll learn it from other adults around them that are highly influential. But if they aren't learning to be clingy to results that happen, then you're right. They're going to be very quick at just saying, okay, that's done, move on. Right. No big deal. It's the adults that hang on to stuff a lot longer.
Yeah, and actually, that's why when parents don't get involved in little kids' fights, the kids solve it on their own.
Yeah.
And the parents get involved, it becomes a big issue. And then it's like the parents' problem. The mom of this one, the mom of that one, something like that.
And people don't realize that when there's a fight that's ongoing, it just keeps going and going, it invariably happens because the parent is there. The parent is without realizing it, they are the energy behind it, because the kid, at least one of the two kids, maybe both of them, are looking to the mom or the dad to step in and do the thing that they always do whenever there's a fight. And so they just keep going until that thing happens. But if you truly let go of it, they'll try it a few times. And like you said, they'll just kind of let go of it and move on to the next thing. They don't think twice about it after that.
They'll find something else to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so this card I just got, it says the serpent, knowledge and healing.
Okay. Knowledge and healing.
All right, let's check it out.
And the serpent, I wouldn't normally associate a serpent with healing, so this is going to be really interesting. I wonder what it's about.
Okay, so it says the serpent's message is one of healing and of gaining knowledge. Whatever situation you're in right now is meant for this purpose. The serpent also reminds you that knowledge is important.
Mm.
Perhaps it's time for you to read a book or take a class in order to gain more understanding of your inquiry, or you may need to ask questions of others who know, who can help you, who you can ask. So it says, ask the serpent, and you will be guided to the right answer easily and effortlessly. The serpent heralds success if you follow his signal.
Mm-hmm.
The serpent also lets you know that you may be suffering because there are aspects of yourself that are wounded and still need tending. Well, that's always the case, right? I mean, otherwise we wouldn't go into that sunken in place of not
That's
being
true.
good enough.
Yep.
Okay, now is the time for this. Perhaps you need to rest, meditate, and allow the knowledge to come to consciousness, or maybe you just need to sleep more. Another aspect of serpent energy is that each time you experience a healing or learn new things, you may need to shed your skin to adopt a new one. But don't worry,
Oh.
the serpent says that it is necessary and it's a beautiful thing. Want me to read that again?
I especially like the part about shedding your skin. Now I understand why the serpent becomes the messenger here. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another aspect of the serpent energy is that each time you experience a healing or learn new things, you may need to shed your skin to adopt a new one.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's kind of a metaphorical way of describing what Dr. Dispenza talks about, because he talks about literally letting go of the old you, the old as stored in your body subconsciously, and replacing it with a new you stored in your body subconsciously. And it's replacing the old skin with a new skin. That's that's
rewriting the programs.
Rewriting the programs. Yeah. It's good stuff. Very good stuff.
Letting go and allowing, because creation, nothing ever stays the same.
Right.
Like, you ever notice an abandoned house will just disintegrate?
Mm-hmm.
There's no energy being put to it.
True.
So it just falls apart.
Kind of an odd thing, but
I mean it sounds simple, but if you think about it, there's no energy going into that house.
Well, if you look at it from what I might call the quote realistic unquote viewpoint, that sounds crazy. Why would the house just fall apart? But when you look at it from an energetic point of view, oh well, then it totally makes sense, because like you say, there's no energy going into the house.
But like, if there was a house next door to me that is not being taken care of, and it's just dwindling away, well, it's like, I'm not, well, maybe I do. Yeah. So maybe I'll put some effort, some energy into cleaning my windows.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so no one's putting energy into cleaning those windows. Or I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not like you have to physically do anything to your house to make it exist.
I'd say it's more about the attention.
Like, you didn't replace a roof there, you didn't replace a roof here, you didn't replace the window, you didn't, like, if they were like equal in how much physical change you've done to the building, they should both look the same. Yeah. But the one with the people living in it that are feeding energy to it looks better than the empty one, which is falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think that you can kind of explain this through the concept of giving attention. Because really, when you give attention, you're giving energy.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter whether it's physical attention or just mental attention or emotional or whatever. It's still attention, and it's the attention that makes the difference. That abandoned house is not getting attention, except occasionally by somebody looking at it saying, "Geez, that house got abandoned. That's so sad," and that's it.
Well, what about a person who gets no input, no energy from anyone? What happens to them? Most of them probably go insane, right?
Yeah.
They're not thriving because there's no other energy coming to them.
Or they conclude that is the normal way of being with life, and so they start finding ways to steal energy, and they do so successfully, and so that becomes their modality. That we're constantly stealing energy, and they actually start to believe that's what life is all about: stealing energy.
Yeah, or they just dwindle away because they have no interaction with other energetic forces besides maybe, and actually. I don't know why it's coming to me, but you could say then maybe lower energy forces out there can be drawn to that person because their life force is such a low energy.
Sure.
So you're drawing in more and more of maybe not so light or bright spirit out there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And what does that do? Right? Just caves them in. So that's like the house, you know, I mean, yeah.
That's the negative vortex. You get into that negative vortex, you start attracting more and more low vibration stuff, and it's just going to keep coming in, coming in, coming in, as long as you're focusing on it.
Yeah.
True. Very
So
true.
I don't know, what was our overall theme today? I have no clue.
You know, I've been asking myself that question for the last 55 minutes, and it's been a great conversation, but I don't know what the overall theme was.
I think the overall theme is probably just to, you know, own yourself in every aspect, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And if you think that there are these bad parts of you, look at it as to like, or these aspects or things that occur in your life, like, all right, so really, you know, what's good about this? How is this serving me in some way? And ask the universe, and what can I do to have these lessons come to me in a joyful way? You know, what do I need to do to have life be easy for me? What do I need to do to be in the flow where energy? Oh, look, I got my magic wand out.
Oh, yes. You got your Harry Potter one. Looks like Hermione's, actually. Beautiful. I love it.
I got it off of Etsy years ago. I was going to decorate it with crystals and things. I just never got around to it. Yeah. So I don't know, just be you, own yourself, because you exist. You're a beautiful person. Right?
Yes.
And anything that doesn't match that, start peeling it away. Like, no, I don't have to believe that. I don't have to believe that. And start owning more of who you really are.
And who you really are is ultimately the person that you want to be focused on a regular basis, because that's how you're going to get that energy coming in. We talked earlier about, you know, bringing the love in. The love is always there, but are you bringing it in? Well, you're focused on who you really are. That's going to come in. I mean, you almost can't avoid it.
And pay more attention to the things that do light you up and not the things that don't.
Yes.
Right.
Very, very important.
So if you can have the awareness to stop, because some people are very unaware, right? Probably not listening to this show, but maybe somebody stumbled on it. That's why we're talking about it today. Start sensing and feeling what things make you feel lighter. That's your truth. Right? So if you call yourself all these terrible names, how does that make you feel? Doesn't make you feel good, because true. it's not your truth.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't even know what your truth is, follow the things that light you up, even in the littlest of ways.
Yes.
What things make you smile? What things make you just feel more open? Do more of that. So then the more you get into that vibe, the more of that vibe can come to you.
That's good. Yeah. And you reminded me too, by saying that we probably do have some new listeners, because we almost always do with any given episode. So if they're not yet subscribed, I should probably tell them how to subscribe so they can continue to listen to the episodes, right? Yeah. And it's really simple to do. If you haven't figured it out already, most people these days do know how to subscribe to podcasts. But if you don't know how to do it, it's actually pretty simple. Just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net. And at the top of the page, you'll find instructions on how to do it. It's, for most people, it's 1 or 2 clicks, occasionally 3 clicks, but it's really quick. And then once you're going through the clicks and you're done with that, you're subscribed, and all of our episodes come right to your device every single time. Plus, check us out on YouTube, because we live stream these shows to YouTube as we record them. And you can watch us there and see what we look like as we're talking to you. And you be sure that you subscribe, and also click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you can be notified every single time that we're live. And feel free to join us like Jeffrey and Jenny and others did today on the live stream, because we like to interact with you there when we're doing the show. And that also is a reminder, feel free to send in messages too. Send in email, or find us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or all the various places that you can find us. Join the Facebook group, the Law of Attraction Pivot Pals group. That's a place where our listeners interact by sharing their little vignettes of what they're trying to attract into their lives. And then we all support each other's vignettes. So it's a very, very supportive environment in that group. But whatever you do, make sure you get in touch with us. Send us notes, send us messages, and we'll include them in the show. How about that?
Yes. And remember,
you are enough. Yes, you are definitely enough. We are all enough. It's a great message to remember. And it's a great way to finish a week of shows, because now it carries into the weekend, and it becomes a theme that we can carry on, right?
Yeah.
When you have that theme, life just gets better and better, especially on the weekend. I mean, how bad is a weekend, right? Weekends are always great. So, Linda, thank you very much. As usual, you hit the right cards. I still don't know exactly how you do it. I know you say it's because you're just guided to the right cards and the cards are
It's,
doing the work, but damn, you're good at this.
it's the energy of the group.
I guess that's what it is. So, thank you
Mhm.
very much for doing it. Before we go, also tell people about where to find you on YouTube and other places so they can see more about what you got.
Yeah, so you can just go to my website, lovemylife.coach. And actually on the homepage, you'll see a little stream of like the last 3 videos that I've done. So it's easy to find me on YouTube. But just search Linda Armstrong Energy Healer. You'll find me there or
Sounds good.
anywhere.
All right. Good
Yep.
enough. Well, then have a great week, great weekend. And thanks to our live streamers. Thank especially to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.